Welcome to Fast Effect Double Speed Magic the Gathering. Here we have the finals of one of our Wednesday night legacy events. Mark the Goblin King has returned, leading out with a Wooded Foothills. Will it be a Lackey? Will it be a Vial? Deck really coming together nicely. All sorts of different foreign language versions of these goblins and, key cards, wastelands. Really fun to see the level of self-expression that Magic can allow for. Very often, the deck construction is mostly around efficiency measured against just how well the deck wins. Sometimes we put restraints on it in terms of a certain play style that we're trying to cultivate, but ultimately, usually the measure. However, when it comes to choosing the cards in your deck, you can have quite a bit of creativity. Skirk Prospector coming in, and that guy's actually like solid in this matchup. He's going to be able to just keep on defense, stopping any bridge from belows. So Hogaak's one of the biggest strengths is the ability to combo out the opponent. Actually not going to be able to do that with a Skirk Prospector on board very easily, and that's just going to get worse and worse with the inclusion of kind of multi-body cards. That's definitely could come up with a better word for that, but token generators like Bog War Marshal, where you can get potentially 3 sacrifice effects out of it. Never mind the fact that you're potentially generating mana to jam something like Muxus. Oh, wow. Mark actually playing super aggressively. He is going to sacrifice that right away to get Goblin Matron. Grab the Munitions Expert. Interesting. We'll see. Certainly has a lot more reps with goblins than I do. Playing for speed in a race. A lot of different ways that you can win the race faster than your opponent. Tackle your opponent at the beginning of the race. Get up and hope that you're now faster than them. A lot of different ways that you can force conflict. In a game of Magic, there's the ability to tackle your opponent. I suppose, most races frown upon it, but the point is, if they are faster than you, you might not want to try and actually win the race fair and square. You may want to go for the knees or something. I feel like Goblins pretty much always wants to be doing that. Vengevine comes out swinging, and this is no bueno. Facing down an 8/8. Goblin War Chief. Yeah, this hand is not gonna be good enough. Yeah, this is a problem. 3 mana. War Chief. Violet 3. Against a lot of decks, this would be a kind of neutral, even situation. Not here. Facing down massive damage. Goblin Crater Maker. Crater Maker does not do a ton here. Hogaak's Trample really is an issue. Goblins could throw bodies in front of things like Vengevine for quite a bit of time. Hedron Crab just putting in work here. Mark grabbing his sideboard. We are on to the next one. Goblins is definitely the underdog here, but there's a lot that it could potentially have at its disposal in the sideboard. Graveyard, main resource for the Hogaak deck and Goblins. No stranger to playing against that type of strategy. It's some of the toughest matchups. Gonna be prepared on some level. I have seen some Goblin players just completely abandon trying to stop the fast, for example, Reanimator decks and just kind of concede the matchup, but I don't think that's correct. I think you can definitely give yourself a fighting chance. There's going to be some sketchy keeps from graveyard-centric decks at times that just fold to the correct amount of mana denial between Wastelands and Rishadan Ports. Sometimes you just get there. Goblins can put a very significant clock. I mean, you could go turn one Lackey into a Muxus and potentially kill someone on the second turn. So it's not like Goblins can't close out a game, has enough resources. Mountain. Looked like a mountain go there for a second. Mountain into Relic of Progenitus. Stitcher Supplier. The Vengevine and Abrupt Decay. See how early this relic ends up getting used. Dirk Prospector. Relic, if this relic actually gets rid of Vengevine without having to pop, that would be outrageous. Grave Crawler. Fetching. Probably. I guess there's probably not a lot of reason to not have tapped Relic Mark's turn. Graveyard just filling up now. And Hogaak. Oh no. Hogaak gets cast. Yeah. Oh, that's rough. With the second body on board, Hogaak can be cast from hand. That may have caught Mark off guard. Hogaak typically coming from the graveyard, but he can be cast from hand. With that second black creature, you've got the Convoke necessary. Really have to keep that graveyard super small. It's a tough thing to do. The Relic, I don't know for sure that it could have stopped the Hogaak. I mean, it won't be able to stop it indefinitely, that's for sure. Got a Skirk Prospector and a Goblin Warchief. Everything turning sideways. Declining to kill the Stitcher Supplier. Now, a Blood Throne. I'm sorry, a Bloodghast. Started thinking about the casual vampire names there. Blood Throne Vampire. Actually, I played that in Zubera Storm as well. Caracas. Alright, that's helpful. Matron. Rockets would really help here. Got a Mog War Marshal, which is like a dark ritual at this point. This is a Skirk Prospector and a War Chief on board. Goblin Pile Driver. Oh. Yeah. Plus 10. Is this going to be lethal? 17. I'm counting 17. I don't know how many fetches we're looking at here. Everything turning sideways. Bloodghast cannot block. Got a fetch for a Dryad Arbor. It blocks the Goblin Pile Driver. Surprise blocker. Preventing a ton of damage. But this Hogaak is not going to get in the red zone. Another Bloodghast. Everything turning sideways. Bouncing Hogaak. Bunch of damage coming in. But the Crackback should be lethal here. Unless there's an off-camera card. I see the edge of a card. There may be like a Vengevine or something off to the side. Three mana, including the Karakas, for a Goblin Ringleader. Crater Maker. Taking out the Stitcher Supplier. And now everything turns sideways. So Mark finding the path there, clearing the Singleton blocker. Crater Maker takes him down. Gem Palm Incinerator also in hand if there were more blockers. Mark able to fight his way through there, force a third game. I will say the more that this looks like a game of Magic, the more it favors Goblins. The best draws from Hogaak are going to just look totally foreign to people not familiar with the deck or perhaps Legacy. It breaks all sorts of rules. Killing itself, getting a Bloodghast into the bin. Maybe able to see a pretty fast Hogaak here. That is not necessarily the finisher that it is versus other decks, as we saw. Deck does have access to Karakas. Have a slow build up here for Mark. No board presence at all. Now a Munitions Expert taking out the Gravecrawler. And gonna block on the Stitcher Supplier. Blood Moon. Floating mana. We got an Assassin's Trophy. I wonder if Goblins will have another basic mountain. They do have quite a few. One of the strengths of the deck is just how rock solid its mana base can be. Not quite Death and Taxes level, but pretty close. God and Port. That's going to give a Goblin Matron. Going to go for here. Grabbing the Skirk Prospector. It's phenomenal in this matchup. Nurturing Peatland. Sacrificed. Token in for 2. Pair of 1/1s. Doing their job. Now Rashad and Port going after the green mana. Fetchland comes down. Now Crater Maker helps turn this into an actual clock. 4 damage at a clip will eventually win the game. Carrion Feeder cannot block. Gravecrawler shows up a Gem Palm Incinerator. It has had enough of that. Immediately putting an end to what could have been a productive line. Gravecrawler, the lone creature. Another Skirk Prospector. Guys, looks like they're can't quite tell. Plan B for Hogaak isn't the worst. I mean, you're talking about cards like Gravecrawler. Oh, and that's a tough interaction there. So did I just see there? So Gravecrawler killed, just cast from the graveyard, and then Hogaak invoked out. Either that or perhaps that Gem Palm Incinerator not used. Not quite sure. Massive threat on board with the 8/8 Hogaak. Stocked graveyard as well, so even if it can be killed with something like a Gem Palm Incinerator, it would be coming right back. It's a pretty big body. Creator Maker can handle a lot of situations, but not amazing here. Three damage coming in. Now Sling Gang. Cycling Gem Palm Incinerator. So Hogaak is taken out. And this Sling Gang represents potential lethal. This is going to play out. That's a lot of extra damage. Not have the life total on camera. Bit of suspense here in terms of how close Nat is to lethal. He can bring back a Hogaak, but 4 damage comes in. And it looks like, yeah, Mark getting it there. I believe what that handshake was, because there are goblins that could block and be sacrificed, but that would not be enough for Nat to actually hold on for the W. So goblins pulling out a very tough matchup.